Hey everybody, it's Laurren Darr with Left Paw Press, your plum pug crazy author of pug children's books. And today it's time for you to cozy up and get ready for story time. And today we are going to be reading Pug in Boots. So sit back, relax, and enjoy story time. Pug in Boots. Story adaptation by Laurren Darr. Illustrations by Florina Boldy. Once upon a time, in a land far away, right smack dab in the middle of nowhere, there was a poor machinist named Lars. All he had to his humble name was a lathe, a motorcycle, and a pathetic-looking little pug. When he passed away, dividing up what very little was left behind was done quickly and swiftly among his 3 children. The oldest child, Wilhelm Dax, received the lathe. The middle child, Shoshana, took the motorcycle. And the youngest child was left with the pathetic little pug. The youngest child, Wren, of course, felt slighted with the meager inheritance. She mumbled to the pug, "My siblings can easily make a living by joining together to make a business. I, on the other hand, now have another mouth to feed, in an animal so pitiful I can't stand to look at its face." The pug looked at his new master with big, bulging eyes and said sternly, "You should have no worries. Fetch a hefty backpack for me, and have sturdy boots made so that I can zip through the rough streets. I'll show you that I am indeed the best inheritance you could have hoped for." Though the new master wanted to blow off the little pug's boldness, she remembered times when she marveled at the cleverness of this wrinkled creature. He could pretend he was asleep or play dead and launch a sneak attack on mice. So she had the boots made and found a sturdy backpack that was practically as big as the little pug. Wren chuckled at the sight of him in his new boots and fashioned a fancy hat with a long feather for him. He was now called Prince Zacchaeus Pug. As soon as Prince Pug was set, he bagged a rabbit. Prince Pug headed off to the castle and requested an audience with the king. When ushered in, he presented the rabbit and said, "Your Majesty, I have brought to you a rabbit from my lady, Mistress of Imaginaria." The king replied, "Tell your lady I am grateful at such a wonderful gift." Prince Pug proceeded to catch a pheasant, which took special cunning on his part. He went back to the castle with the gift the same way he had the rabbit. The king again was appreciative and had the servants reward him with some kibble. This catching and gifting went on for months. He would catch dinner for himself and his mistress, but he would take part of the game he caught to the palace as a gift. One day, Prince Pug knew that the king would be taking a leisurely gondola ride on the river with his son, the prince. So he said to his mistress, "All of your wishes will come true if you will do as I ask. Go to the river where I've told you to swim. Leave the rest to me." His mistress did just that. Prince Pug ran down the river, barking, yelping, and saying, "Help! My lady, Mistress of Imaginaria, is drowning." Upon hearing this, the king ordered his entourage to save the Mistress of Imaginaria. As they were retrieving his mistress, Prince Pug went up to the gondola and told the king that thieves had taken his mistress's clothing. In truth, he had taken the clothes and hidden them in the hole of a tree. The king ordered his butler to fetch a dress for her ladyship. The king was most gracious to the Mistress of Imaginaria, as he was astounded by her beauty and charmed by her manners. His son, the prince, became immediately infatuated. Prince Pug's mistress also could not help feeling the same way about the prince, for he was handsome and a true gentleman. His mistress was then invited to ride with them in the gondola for the afternoon. Seeing that his crafty plan was working, Prince Pug ran ahead of the entourage. He saw some workers tending to hay in the field. He threatened, "Lovely workers, if you don't inform the king as he passes that the fields you are working belong to my lady, Mistress of Imaginaria, I shall rip you into bits." The king did ask the farmers as they went by, to which they fearfully replied, "Our lady, Mistress of Imaginaria." Impressed, the king told the mistress that she had good property. He then ran ahead even further and threatened farmers harvesting corn. They replied they were farming for the Mistress of Imaginaria also. The king was amazed at the amount of corn there was to harvest. The mistress continued to play along with what Prince Pug was doing. This scenario went on for the length of the gondola ride. Prince Pug then came to a massive palace. He was familiar with this place because he had spotted it as he roamed the countryside looking for game. He knew that a troll was the ruler of this palace and insisted on paying his respects to him. When he saw the troll, he said to him, "Please forgive me for being so bold, but I have heard rumors that trolls like yourself can morph into different creatures. It sounds unbelievable to me." The troll was very proud of himself and said, "I can become anything I wish." With that, he turned himself into a huge lion and roared a gargantuan roar. Prince Pug jumped and scurried up the gutter, shivering in fear until the troll turned himself back. He came down and then said to the troll, "That was impressive, but I bet you cannot turn yourself into something as small as a mouse. With your size, it would be impossible to shrink yourself into something so little." The troll snickered and turned himself into a mouse. With that, Prince Pug gobbled him up. In the meantime, the king and his entourage were nearing the grand palace. Prince Pug heard the rowing of the oars from the gondola. He ran outside and yelled, "My king is welcome here to the castle of my lady, Mistress of Imaginaria." The king was astonished to realize that so grand a palace belonged to the lady. They entered into the great hall of the palace, where a large feast had been prepared earlier for guests that the troll was going to welcome. These guests dared not enter, knowing the king was present. The king was taken with the grandeur, richness, and charms of the lady. The king noticed that his son was completely smitten with her even though they had only enjoyed a short time together. He insisted, "My dear lady, Mistress of Imaginaria, you must become my daughter-in-law. I can see no better match for my son." The lady bowed as low as she possibly could as a sign of reverence to the king and accepted his gracious offer. The two were immediately married. From then on, her clever little pug truly was a prince. Pug in Boots and other pug books in the Pug Fairy Tale series by Laurren Darr can be found on online bookstores like Amazon.com.